I think I'm wasting my youth with one guy. Maybe I should explore my options. That's the sentence I heard my fiancée, Lily, say about me, laughing with her friends like I was some temporary placeholder instead of the man she agreed to marry. I remember standing there, frozen, not hurt exactly, just stunned by how casually she dismissed 4 years of my life. And when her best friend Sierra chimed in, telling her she should try other men before settling down, something in me snapped into absolute clarity. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't even blink. I simply walked into the room, looked Sierra straight in the eyes, and asked her out, right in front of Lily. The room went silent. Sierra said yes, and Lily watched the future she took for granted crumble in real time. That was the moment everything changed. If you had met Lily and me in our first 2 years together, you would have sworn we were the kind of couple that would last forever. I was steady, consistent, the guy who kept his word. And Lily, she was light. She was beautiful in that effortless way people write songs about, and she had this soft, warm energy that made me feel grounded just by being near her. 4 years together, 8 months engaged. I thought we had built something real. I was the logical one in the relationship, the one who planned ahead, who saved instead of splurged, who kept my promises even when it wasn't convenient. Lily always said she loved that about me, that I made her feel safe. What I didn't realize back then was that safe slowly turned into boring for her. Or maybe I was always boring in her eyes, and it just took her friends to say it out loud. When I proposed, I used a diamond that belonged to my grandmother. It wasn't flashy, not the kind of ring that goes viral, but it carried history, the kind of thing that mattered to me. Lily cried when I opened the box. I remember thinking it was the happiest moment of my life. Now, looking back, I can't tell if her tears were happiness or pressure. We moved in together and immediately started planning the wedding. Or more accurately, I paid for things quietly while her parents pushed for a bigger celebration than either of us needed. I didn't complain. I thought this was what building a life looked like. Compromise, patience, teamwork. Around that same time, a shift happened. Specifically, Sierra Hale happened. Sierra was the kind of woman who thrived on chaos, nightlife, clubbing, impulsive hookups, drama for fun. And for some reason, after we got engaged, Lily started spending more and more time with her. At first, I didn't think much of it. Everyone needs friends. But hanging out turned into coming home at 2 or 3 a.m. with glitter on her collarbone and the same excuse every time. It's just a girls' night, relax. Weekends disappeared. Our date nights disappeared. Even our conversations became shallow, like she was halfway somewhere else when she talked to me. And the phone, God, the phone. Before, she'd leave it on the couch, on the counter, wherever. After Sierra came back into her life, she started guarding it like it was a bomb about to go off. Always face down. Always with her. Locked with a new passcode she forgot to tell me. She even took it into the bathroom for a 2-minute shower. That was new. I tried to talk to her about it once. Just once. I remember sitting on the edge of our bed, choosing my words carefully. Lily, I said gently, I miss the nights we used to spend together. It feels like I barely see you anymore. Her reaction was instant and way too loud. So now you're controlling? I can't have friends? I can't go out. It shocked me. I wasn't accusing her of anything. I was telling her I missed her. But she twisted it so quickly that I ended up apologizing just to calm her down. That was the first time I felt something crack between us. Not break, just crack. A few weeks later, the crack widened. She left her phone unlocked on the couch for the first time in months. She was in the shower. I didn't go looking for anything. I'm not that guy, but notifications kept popping up from a group chat with Sierra. The first message I saw was Sierra's. He doesn't need to know everything. Then another. What happens at the club stays at the club. My heart didn't race. I didn't feel sick. I didn't jump to conclusions. What I felt was numbness, the kind that comes when your brain is already putting the pieces together before your heart catches up. I started wondering if I was becoming a placeholder, the stable, reliable guy she would settle for after she was done enjoying life. The insurance policy. The safe choice. No man wants to feel like a backup plan. From that point on, the imbalance wasn't subtle anymore. Lily grew more distant, more defensive, more irritated with even the smallest things. I grew quieter, not because I was scared, but because I was watching, paying attention. And the more I watched, the more I realized something was fundamentally wrong. But even then, even with every red flag waving in my face, I still stayed. Maybe because I loved her, Or maybe because I still believed she loved me, or at least the version of me she thought I was. Everything came to a breaking point on a night I'll never forget. The night Lily insisted I come with her to a party hosted by Sierra. She said it would be good for us, that I needed to loosen up. I didn't know it then, but that was the night my entire engagement would fall apart. Everything, every lie, every doubt, every crack, would explode right in front of me. And Lily would finally reveal exactly who she had become. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that you can feel out of place long before anyone says a word. The moment I walked into Sierra's apartment, I knew I didn't belong there. It wasn't just the loud music or the overly flirtatious energy bouncing around the room. It was the crowd. Every guy there was single, loud, and scanning the room like they were hunting. Every woman was dressed like she came for attention, not celebration. And then there was me, the only engaged man, the only one who showed up because his fiancée insisted. Lily acted like everything was normal. She kissed my cheek, handed me a drink I didn't want, and vanished into a corner with Sierra and two other girls I barely knew. I kept telling myself to relax, to play along, to not overthink. But my gut was louder than the music. Something was off. I drifted toward the kitchen to get some air. Not even real air, just distance. That's when I heard it. My name. My fiancée's voice. Laughter that didn't sound like the woman I used to know. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I froze mid-step because the tone of her voice felt wrong. And then Sierra said, loud enough for anyone to hear, "Girl, you are wasting your whole youth being tied down to one guy." Lily laughed, that soft, breathy laugh she used with strangers, not with me. I mean, yeah, sometimes I do wonder if Evan is really the right choice. For a second, my chest tightened so sharply I thought I'd misheard. But then Sierra added, "He's too safe, too calm. You need excitement. You should try other guys before you settle." And all the girls giggled. About me. About the life I thought we were building together. They called me too stable, too mature, too predictable. One girl joked I looked like the kind of man who'd apologize for breathing too loudly. And Lily didn't defend me. She didn't say a single word in my favor. She just let the conversation roll, like my dignity wasn't part of the equation. The strange thing is, I didn't feel heartbreak. I didn't even feel anger. I felt clarity, the kind that hits so hard it wipes out every doubt in your head. So I stepped into the doorway. Nobody noticed at first. Then someone turned and froze. Within seconds, the entire group fell silent. Lily's face went pale, like she'd been caught stealing. I looked at her, really looked, and said, calmly enough that it scared her, "If you want to explore options, then we can explore options." Her eyes widened. Sweetheart, that's not what I meant. But I wasn't talking to her anymore. I turned to Sierra, who still held that stupid smirk, like she owned the room. And I asked, with total composure, "Sierra, do you want to grab dinner with me sometime?" The shock on her face was priceless. She blinked, opened her mouth, then actually looked at Lily as if waiting for permission. Lily didn't say a word. So Sierra said quietly, but clearly, "Yes." The room exploded. Lily grabbed Sierra's arm, shouting, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Then she turned on me, eyes wild, voice shaking. "You're insane. This is insane. No normal man does this." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't move. I didn't even blink. I just said, "Normal women don't tell their friends they want to try other men before their wedding." That shut her up fast. Everyone in that kitchen stared at Lily like she'd been exposed for the first time. And she had. Not by me yelling or accusing, but by her own words, thrown back at her in front of the very people she wanted to impress. Sierra pulled away from her. Two of their friends whispered something and left the room altogether. The humiliation on Lily's face hit her so hard, she couldn't even hold herself together. She started crying, not the soft kind, the panicked, hysterical kind. People murmured things like, "Damn, she said that about her fiancé," and "I'd die if my partner heard me talk like that." For once, Lily wasn't the center of admiration. She was the center of judgment. I didn't stay to watch the meltdown. I set down the untouched drink, nodded once, and walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard Lily's voice break apart as she shouted my name. But I kept walking because something inside me had already changed. She wanted freedom? She wanted possibilities? She wanted options? Fine. She could have them. But she was about to learn what it felt like when I stopped being the man she could take for granted. Because in that moment, I wasn't angry yet. Not even close. I was just getting started. And Lily had no idea that the next phase, my silence, would hurt her far more than anything I said out loud. Lily didn't wait long after the party to break down completely. She packed a small overnight bag with shaky hands, crying loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Every tear came with a new accusation. You embarrassed me. You acted like a child. You ruined everything. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't defend myself. I didn't argue. I just told her, with the same cold calm she hated, you wanted freedom. I'm respecting that. That sentence destroyed her more than any fight could have. She kept saying I didn't understand, that she didn't mean it like that Sierra twisted her words. But I wasn't listening anymore, not really. I was observing, the same way I had been for months. And all I saw was someone terrified of losing control, not someone terrified of losing me. Eventually she left. The door closed, and with it, for years of habit and denial. The silence afterward was almost peaceful. For the first time in a long time, my phone didn't feel like a bomb waiting to go off. Of course, that peace lasted about 12 hours. Then the messages started. First came the apologies. Paragraphs of them. Then anger. I can't believe you acted like that. Then guilt trips. I'm scared. I need you. Then back to apologies again. I didn't answer any of them. Not because I wanted to torture her, but because I finally understood that she only listened when silence forced her to. On the third day, I got a message I didn't expect. From Sierra. Still on for Friday? 7 p.m. Dress nice. I stared at it for a moment. This wasn't flirtation, I could tell. It was something else. Maybe curiosity. Maybe guilt. Maybe she knew her words helped break my engagement, and she wanted to see what pieces were left. So I said yes. And no, I didn't tell Lily. But she found out anyway. Word travels fast in groups built on gossip. The night before the dinner, Lily called me 7 times. By the 8th call, her voice had gone from angry to desperate. Evan, please don't do this. Please. She doesn't care about you. She's just messing with you. You're not like her. I didn't soften. I didn't reassure her. I simply said, I'm doing exactly what you said you wanted. Exploring options. She went silent. For the first time, she truly understood the weight of her own words. Friday came fast. I met Sierra at a quiet restaurant. No flirting, no tension, just 2 people with a complicated connection they didn't ask for. She ordered a drink, took 1 sip, then sighed. Look, this isn't a date. I just want to be honest with you. And she was. Brutally. She told me Lily always talked about me like I was her safe choice, her backup plan. She admitted Lily said she wasn't sure she was done having fun. That she called me stable, reliable, loyal, like those were flaws. Sierra didn't say it with cruelty. She said it like someone who finally realized she'd helped a friend sabotage the only good thing in her life. I listened without reacting. Not cold, just steady. Because by then, none of it surprised me. I'd already suspected every word. Hearing it out loud just confirmed I wasn't crazy for noticing the shift. Halfway through the conversation, I saw a movement near the entrance. Lily. She tried to walk in calmly, like she wasn't seconds away from losing it. But her disguise fell apart the moment she reached our table. Her voice cracked. Evan, please. Can we talk? Alone. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't snap at her. I simply asked, if I hadn't heard what you said that night, would you still be trying other men behind my back? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Silence. And that silence was the answer. Not anger. Not denial. Just the truth she couldn't hide anymore. So I stood up. I didn't make a scene. I didn't insult her. I didn't punish her. I just said, I won't be anybody's backup plan. Her knees almost gave out. She begged, reached for my hand, promised change. But the switch inside me had flipped. I'd spent months fighting for us alone. I wasn't going to fight anymore. I walked out, leaving Lily standing beside the table, shaking and speechless. Sierra didn't follow me. She stayed behind, probably to pick up whatever pieces she helped break. As I stepped outside, I felt something I hadn't felt in months, maybe years. Relief. Not because I wanted revenge, or because I'd hurt her, but because I finally chose myself. And I really believed that was the end, that everything had reached its conclusion. But I was wrong. The most satisfying part was still ahead, and Lily didn't disappear quietly after that night at the restaurant. For a week, she oscillated between panic and silence. Long messages followed by hours of nothing, then more messages, as if she was trying to negotiate with reality. But eventually, reality stopped negotiating back. She came by the apartment once, eyes red, voice drained, holding the engagement ring I had given her. "I can't keep it," she whispered. "I don't deserve it." She placed it on the counter like it weighed more than she could hold. I picked it up, not because I wanted it back, but because I finally accepted what it represented, a version of us that didn't exist anymore. I kept the diamond, the part that belonged to my grandmother, and sold the metal band. That money became a plane ticket to Europe, a trip I took alone. Not to run from anything, but to breathe in a life that didn't revolve around fixing someone else's insecurity. By the time I returned, something in me had settled. I wasn't angry at Lily anymore. I wasn't hurt. I was just done. Sierra reached out a few times after that. Not romantically. She made that clear from the start. She apologized more than she needed to. She admitted she'd fed into Lily's doubts for fun, not realizing the damage she was helping create. Surprisingly, we slipped into a kind of friendship that made sense. Two people who had seen each other at their worst and didn't feel the need to pretend. One night, Sierra invited me to her brother Caleb's place for a small get-together. Nothing wild, no loud music, just a handful of people and an excuse to hang out. I didn't plan on staying long, but that changed the moment I met Ava Mercer. Ava wasn't loud. She wasn't performing for anyone. She wasn't scanning the room like she was afraid of missing something better. She looked at people directly, listened fully, and spoke like her words were chosen, not thrown around. She carried herself with a quiet confidence, the kind that didn't need attention to exist. Talking to her felt effortless. No guessing games, no shifting tones, no emotional landmines waiting to go off. She laughed easily, asked thoughtful questions, and within an hour, I forgot I was supposed to be the guy recovering from an engagement crash. I was just myself, and that felt new again. We didn't start dating right away. We talked. We texted. We met for coffee, then dinners, then long walks where conversation never ran out. Everything with her moved naturally, without pressure or noise. A few months later, we made it official. And Sierra, of all people, was the first to congratulate us, genuinely happy for both of us. No jealousy, no chaos. She even joked, "Finally, you're dating a woman who won't treat you like a life insurance policy." I laughed because she wasn't wrong. Then one afternoon, out of nowhere, Lily reached out. She asked if we could talk, not to get back together. She insisted on that, but because she wanted to apologize properly. I agreed. Not out of hope, not out of curiosity, but because it felt like the right thing to do. She looked different when we met. Tired, but grounded. She told me she'd started therapy, that she'd cut off certain friends, that she'd spent months unraveling why she treated me the way she did. She told me the truth, the kind she'd never said when we were together. She admitted she had always cared about me, but she never felt ready for the life I offered. She felt pushed by friends, by expectations, by her own fear of missing out. And instead of talking to me, she sabotaged us quietly. Then she said the sentence that stuck with me. "Ava is lucky. She gets a version of you I didn't know how to value." I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel triumph. I felt closure. And that was enough. I told her gently, "I'm still the same person. I just stopped staying where I wasn't chosen." She nodded, tears in her eyes. But for once, she didn't ask for anything from me. She didn't reach for my hand or hint at reconciliation. She simply accepted that the chapter was over. Walking away from that conversation, I felt lighter than I had in years. Not because I won, but because I didn't lose myself trying to keep someone who wasn't meant to stay. A few days later, Ava asked me what I thought about settling down someday. Not soon, not rushed, just eventually. And for the first time, the idea didn't scare me. It felt like something that would happen naturally when we were both ready. Maybe that's the lesson I had to learn the hard way. When someone tells you they want to explore options, believe them. Not because you're not enough, but because they're telling you they're not ready for what you offer. Losing someone isn't always a failure. Sometimes it's a correction. Sometimes it's the moment you finally start walking toward the person who will actually choose you. Not as a backup plan, not as a safe bet, but as the one they want. And that, more than anything, is what made all of this worth it.